Hello everyone, welcome to Uni-Access channel. I'm Santosh Mangate and today we are going to talk about education loan. I myself took education loan 14 years ago when I came for higher education. Since then, I have helped a lot of students to get their education loans from different banks. Today, I'm going to share a lot of information about it and as well as my experience on the education loans. So let's have a look on education loans. What are education loans? Education loans are basically the expenses you will have when you're studying abroad. So what does it cover up? It's your tuition fees, it's your living expenses and your other expenses. And what are other expenses? Maybe your laptop, your travel and ticketing and all those expenses. Who gives you education loans actually? So there are three institutions which gives you education loans. One are centralized and state banks, second are private banks, and third are non-banking financial institutions. Let's assume you are a prospective student who needs an education loan. So we'll categorize the types of students. So let's say first category where you have a government job. You means you or your parents, anybody, your mother, sister, brother has a government job and you are living in an urban area and you have a property. So a residential property, a flat or a house. This category, you are a very good candidate for the bank or education loans. So you will get a education loan very quickly for two reasons. One, you have a secure job, which is a government job, and secondly, you have a property as a collateral. So this is very easy. Second category is you have a private job, you are living in an urban area, and you also have a property. In this case as well, you will get an education loan very quickly. So now in this case, the property doesn't need to be your property, it can be mom, dad, your family. So it's very easy. Then the third category is you have a government job or a private job, but you don't have a property. In this case, it gets a bit medium difficult. How? Because if you don't have a collateral, then you need some substantial support to prove the bank that you can repay the loans. So government job is actually very secure. So in that case, you might get an education loan. Maybe they will ask you for a couple of more documents to prove that things. So that's also fine. Now there is the fourth category, that is you're working in a private or any sector and your properties are in rural areas. So basically a very good example is your agricultural land, or you have a house in a village and all those things. In this category actually banks don't recognize your agricultural land as so highly with a very high evaluation, and the problem becomes then you don't get an education loan. So in these cases now the solution is, if you have relatives or any friends and family in the urban areas, they have a property, for with their help you can make them your co-applicant and attach your agricultural land as your guarantee. This is how it can work. So your land is your guarantee and your co-applicant is the person who is in an urban area having a property. So this could be a very good solution. Now the fifth category is you're self-working and you don't have a property, and that's a very complex situation. So you're working but you don't have land in urban or rural, so you are without any property. In this case the only solution for you is you must or you need to find somebody who can be your co-applicant having a property. So you need to find somebody who is in an urban area having a property and can be your guarantor or a co-applicant for the loans. So this is the way you can do this. Why I am telling you this? Because you are for sure falling in one of these categories, and this is how the education loans are granted. So the collaterals and the properties are very important, and this is why I'm explaining in which category you fall and how easy it is to get the education loans. First, second are very easy, the third category is bit medium, and the fourth and fifth has to bit struggle, but I'm pretty much sure you'll find a solution to that. Okay, let's do the comparison between public banks, private banks and NBFCs, so the private institutions which are giving the education loans. So we will compare them on 6 different parameters. One of the parameters is interest rate, then is loan coverage, difficulty levels, collaterals, agricultural land, and the repayment terms. So now let's go one by one. So what are the public banks charging as the interest is? So the interest is for the public banks is roughly 8 to 10. And how is the loan coverage? They are covering your education loan up to 95%, 90 to 95%. So you need to have some cash when you're going to public banks. That's very important. Now difficulty level in public banks, it's a medium kind of, because they always are very scrutinizing your documents in very detailed. So you have a medium kind of difficulty in getting the loans. Collaterals, if you have a collateral, it is a very must thing in public banks. So you need to have a collateral in some or the other way, from yourself or your friend, whoever is your co-applicant or a guarantor needs to have a collateral, and that's a property. Then agricultural loan or land is possible with education loan. Yes, public banks are considering your agricultural property in the education loans, and repayments Public banks are the best. Why? Because they are not collecting anything from you during your education, not even the interest. So once you take the loan, you start your repayment only after 2 years or 2.5 years, whenever you finish your education. So that's the public banks. Now let's go to the private banks, HDFC, ICICI, and all those things. Interest rates roughly 10 to 13 depending on the banks. Then loan coverage, they are covering up to 100%, so 90 to 100%. It depends on how much you want to have, and also depends on the collaterals. How is the difficulty level? A bit of easy when you have some attested documents or some documents on properties and some good supporting documents. You will get loans easily from the private banks. How is the collateral? With collateral is not a must, but is good to have in private banks. Agricultural loan, yes, they do have a higher evaluation rate compared to the public banks. Public banks are considering lower agricultural lands rates. That's why it's very difficult with the public bank. But with private ones, they evaluate land properties a bit bigger. And how is about repayments? Repayments, in private banks, you might need to pay some part of interest when you are taking the education loan immediately. It might start after 3 months or 6 months, depending on the banks. So you have to start paying some of the interest. Now coming to the NBFCs, NBFCs are actually giving you the interest rate most expensive. They are from 13 to 18%, depending on the banks you are going or depending on the institutions you are going. Then how much they are giving the coverage? Up to 100%. They give you a lot of freedom on that point, and they give a higher rate of interest. So for them, it's not a problem. Then how easy is it to get the loan from NBFCs? Yes, it's very easy if you have some supporting documents and if there is a collateral, very quick. Then what about collaterals? Do you need them? Not must. If it is there, good to have. How about agricultural lands? Again, the same as private banks. They value agricultural lands a bit higher than the public banks. So you might be able to do it with agricultural lands as well. And what is about the repayments? In repayments, something similar to private banks, they might start charging you the repayment or the interest rates from the start of the education loans. And that's how it is, the differences between all the three bank institutions. So this was all about information on education loans. Now let's talk about my experience on education loans. So I actually was in category 4, where I belong to an agricultural background. My father is a farmer. So we had agricultural land in a village and a house in a village. So I was in category 4. So my solution at that point of time was, I had to find a solution where I need a collateral. So what I did was, I had a friend, he had a property in an urban area. So I took help of him. He became my guarantor. My father became my guardian on the documents of education loan. So we attached these papers of agricultural land. My friend gave his property documents as a collateral, and then I approached to Central Bank of India for an education loan. So it was a very good combination, because there is a guarantor, there is a second guarantor, guardian is also your second guarantor. And on that basis, I got my education loan in 15 days. So this is how you can try and find a solution for yourself as well. So in category A and in category 1 and 2 and 3, it's very easy to get the loan. But the problem is always on category 4 and 5, where you don't have properties, easily collaterals available. So you can find a solution the way I tried to do. So this is all about my experience. So if you like our videos, please like, comment and subscribe our channel. And if you have any other topics which you want us to educate us, please drop in our comment box and we'll try to make a video on it. Thank you very much and have a great day.